again. Here's another voice from Brian Schmetzer's past.
You don't want to know. There's plenty to say.
You don't want to know, there's plenty to say. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Brian's parole officer, Jim Kirk. He's here.
It'll be okay, Tucker. Don't worry about it.
This could be the one I'm the most nervous about. Because me and Jimmy did a lot of silly things.
I'm not going to say too much because I don't want him to lose his job. He's doing a good job as it is, so I won't say nothing. But I first met Brian. God, it was right after, I think it was in second grade, right after he figured out how to spell his last name. It was quite a while.
BS.
And you know, what can I say? We've had probably one of the best times growing up as kids. I mean, it was remarkable how it just set its course. I mean, all our close friends, we've all played together for 50 years. We've known each other and played together, and that's very rare. We all stay in touch today, and throughout those years, we've done some pretty crazy stuff, and I'm proud of it. But you know, I don't really know where to start. I can remember one instance. We actually played baseball one year, and Brian had an accident, and it wasn't his ankle. So we'll just leave it at that. He just look at it. What? I'm gonna leave it at that.
This is embarrassing.
I'm gonna leave it at that. And anyway, I could go on and on for a long time, but a couple other instances, Teddy, and when we got older, and we could drive, and we started to drink, and it got real bad. We did some stuff, even funny stuff on the field. Teddy, especially, he'd run up and jump on the crossbar after a game, and well, he just stayed there, and so somebody had to pull his pants down, and they just stayed down. He just stayed up there on the crossbar and did nothing. Just stupid stuff like that. And I don't know, Brian.
I'll tell you a story just because Teddy's in the room and some of our old teammates are out there hopefully listening, and Jimmy was really, really good. He was our center forward, he was our goal scorer, and I remember one time he dribbled down the whole length of the field around all
he
nine
bet
guys.
me. He bet me. It was
all 9 guys and scoring a goal. So Jimmy was a talented soccer player, and I think that's the theme of tonight. I mean, we did a lot of stupid stuff for sure, but the theme is I had a really good time with this guy. I had a really good time with you, and it's so. Soccer is a common bond between a lot of us, and we grew up together playing at John Rogers Elementary School with a bunch of guys that we've known since we were 6 years old till we're 18 years old.
His dad, he came to school and said, my dad wants to start a soccer team. And there's probably 10 guys, and one of them's here today, an old one, and named Jimmy. And it's just like those same 10 guys have been together for this long, and we still call each other on the phone and talk, and that's pretty remarkable that we did that. We've won so many championships and tournaments, and you can't even begin to, you know, it's amazing.
7 out of 10 state championships. Lake
7
City
out of
Hawks.
10 state championships, a McGuire Cup we went to our last year. And it all started, everything started from Brian's dad. Brian's dad has started the whole thing when we were little.
It was neighborhood kids. That's what started
the
it.
neighborhood kids, and what, cut me off? Well, I'm not done yet. And we...
Either you tell the story about him having an accident, or yes, you're being cut off. It's your choice, 50-50.
Trust me, it's not a car accident.
I think we get that.
But even when we were growing up real little, you know, Brian, we'd go to soccer practice, we'd come back, we'd eat dinner, we'd go over to somebody's house and play in the backyard, most of the time at your house, and his little brothers would play. They were just a bunch of little babies. They, you know, they'd get hit by a ball and they'd run in and say, oh, Mom, Jimmy Kirk did this, he hit me with an apple, or kicked the ball, and he's running in there crying. And anyway, when we got older, half the time, I got blamed for everything, and I wasn't even a goddamn state. It was unbelievable. Am I right?
My mom didn't
Your mom
like
she loved me.
No, she didn't like you.
She did too.
She didn't like you.
Well, my mom didn't like you.
He was the guy that was always getting me in trouble.
Look out. I told everybody I wouldn't swear, so watch it. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that. If you guys really want to know the juicy stuff, I'll see you at the bar.
Very good. Raise your hand if Jim Kirk ever threw an apple at you. 3 people raise their hands. Do none of you understand comedy? Raise your hand if Jim Kirk threw an apple at you. There we go. 7 people. All right, back we go. Here we go. Guess number 3. You'll never guess who's here. We've been told to keep you between 5 and 7 minutes, which I believe is physically impossible. Go ahead and give the fans a tease as to who you could be.
Well, I'm going to be 75 this year. I'm a cancer survivor. And I just had the best year in nearly 40 years in America. And the reason I had the best year was because of this young man, Sir Brian Schmetzer.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the great Alan Hinton.
I have to tell you, first of all, Jimmy Gabriel, who loves Brian, loved working with Brian, cannot be here tonight. He's moved to Arizona for a little while to be with his daughter. So he's sorry he couldn't be here, Brian, so he sends his apologies. But, you know, for me, I came to America in 1977. I played for the Dallas Tornado. I then went to the Whitecaps, played again. I then became the head coach of the Tulsa Roughnecks. Then in November of '79, I got the best job in the country, which was to be the head coach of the Seattle Sounders. And one of the first things I did, Bobby Howe and Bobby was my assistant coach, we had to take care of the draft. So Bobby and I went to see Lake City Hawks on a Sunday morning, a bit early for me, about 9 o'clock kickoff, I think. So we're watching Freddie Hamill, who we thought was going to be a top player. Sadly, Freddie had a bad knee injury. So we're watching the game. Brian Schmetzer, didn't know him, never met him. On the top of the box, he cut from left to right. He scored a goal with his right foot in the upper V. He's never forgotten it, and neither have I. So we drafted him for the Sounders, and I was lucky enough to have him for 3 years. He was always genuine, dependable, worked hard, was always looking to learn, I think, looking back. And I think Brian will agree that being around Bruce Rioch and Roger Davis and Peter Ward and Ian Bridge and poor Mark Peterson, who sadly is not longer with us anymore, it was a great environment for Brian to learn his business. And then he went off to the San Diego Sockers and won several championships under Ron Newman, who I love to death. We had a lot of fights, but the Tacoma Stars crowds went through the roof when Ron and I were fighting. So then I was lucky enough to get Brian at the Tacoma Stars, and he did great there. Then when we put the Sounders together early in 1994, one of the first signings was Brian Schmetzer. So I had him at 3 clubs. He was always a good pro. And then Brian went to the Sea Dogs. I didn't object to him being at the Sea Dogs because it was a really good career move for you. You won the championship there. I think you learned a lot from your friend Fernando Clavijo. And then things went tough for a while. But you know what he did? He put his his determination, and his efforts into being a businessman. And you did great, didn't you?
We did okay.
I mean, you did great. So don't feel sorry for him, because he ain't going to go broke tomorrow, I'll tell you that right now. But so all of his career, and then when he came as assistant coach to Ziggy, I will tell you this. I've been around the game a long time, and I've seen assistant coaches stab in the back the head coach, not Brian. Brian was loyal to Ziggy. Ziggy's a friend of mine, but you were extremely loyal to him, and you've been complimentary to him since. I've convinced, anytime you get fired, I've been fired a few times, and sometimes it's ugly. And all I said to Ziggy was, 7.5 years is a long time for anybody to be at a club. Just look what happened at Leicester City this last week. They won the championship last year in a miracle performance. The coach got fired last week. All of a sudden, the team starts doing marvelous and beat Liverpool yesterday. So, you know, coaches come and coaches go, but I hope I convinced Ziggy Schmidt you'll always be a legend in Seattle. And Brian Schmetzer learned a lot from you, particularly about the league. And at the end of the day, Brian is one of your students, Ziggy. But the great thing about Brian, I think he's learned from everybody. And his demeanor, having taken over the Sounders, I think his greatest comment was early on when you said, I've given ownership to the players. That was quite a statement. And the players bought off on it. And I was going to practice, and they were working hard, and everybody was happy. And then they started to get on a bit of a roll, didn't you? And for me, I had my greatest year watching Brian, who I did sign when he was 17. He's now in his 40s, maybe early 50s. So I feel blessed, particularly last year. I was on TV a lot. I went on the charter. Thank you, Adrian, for letting me go on the airplane to Toronto. I went in the locker room after the game and got showered in champagne. They actually ran out of champagne, so I go and do a deal with Toronto. They got plenty. You know, Toronto had plenty of champagne, but they didn't open it, so we could have had their champagne. So, you know, for me, and then we had the parade, and I turned down going on the parade, and Brian actually sent me a text saying, where are you? Well, I was lucky enough to go on King Television, Channel 5, live for 2.5 hours. Last year I was on radio in England. I was involved in some English newspaper stories. So I had a fantastic year. Now, Jimmy Gabriel and I never won the big one. He got beat against the Cosmos. We got beat against the Cosmos, was it 2-1 in 82 in San Diego? But nobody in 40 years of the Sounders being in business has won the big one. Now that's the big one over there. Major League Soccer Super Bowl was won by Brian Schmetzer and the Sounders, so let's celebrate. And on top of that, he's a local boy. He's a local boy.
Alan Hinton, everybody. I just wish Alan could learn to speak from the heart, huh? That was heartfelt. Good job. If you kept backing up, I was afraid you were going to fall in the ship canal. No, you're done. Get off the stage. Get off the stage. Get off the stage. There's going to be a fist fight here.
It's one story.
Oh, boy.
When
We got jobs now.
Hey, I've been 100% nice now. I'm going to tell you one story. When I was at the Tacoma Stars, Brian and Neil Megson and Dick McCormick always broke curfew. And I knew they were breaking curfew. And I knew where they were going to come into the hotel. They were only half an hour late, which is okay. And I knew they'd been drinking. So I used to look at them when they came in the back door, and I'd go, I wouldn't speak to them. All the next day I would go, you three suckers, you owe me. And have a guess who the best three players on the field were? Brian Schmetzer, Dick McCormick, and Neil Megson. But you know what? I knew him as a boy. He's still the same nice, young-mannered man that he was all those years ago. And that's a lovely feeling. Some people change, you know, when they get power and prestige and winning stuff. Not this young man.
Very good. Very good. If I got that story right, it sounds like you went out drinking when you were at the Lake City Hawks. You'd break curfew, and what were you, 8, 9 years old?
Yeah, I've broken curfew a few times in my life, yes.
Yes, I imagine. And drinking beer was involved?
Just a real quick one. When
Yeah.
Al caught us one time, me and Neil Megson had gone to like Kentucky Fried Chicken and got like a real meal deal for $13.99. We got like a bucket of chicken, we got mashed potatoes, and there was an AM/PM right next door, so we had to get our like 12-pack with our Kentucky Fried Chicken
Sure.
real meal deal.
Yeah, I
that was
wouldn't,
the
I
best.
wouldn't eat
He
that
caught
sober.
us.